Hi there, how are you doing? This is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the full in-depth review for the OnePlus 5. And I have been testing this device for almost 3 weeks now, and I'll share my practical experience in this review. And to make it easier for you, I'll divide the review between pros and cons. But before we do that, here is a quick specs overview of the OnePlus 5. As you can see, it's powered by the Snapdragon 835 chipset, and it comes in two variants, 6GB of RAM or 8GB of RAM. The 6GB variant has 64GB of internal storage, whereas the 8GB model has 128GB of storage. And other specs are on the screen. And as I've mentioned, I'll divide this review between the pros and cons, and at the end of the review I'll also share my thoughts, what I feel if you already have the OnePlus 3T. There are two main differences that I noticed. I'll talk about that also. But first, let's start this review, and let's first talk about the good things about the device, that is the pros. And the first thing that I noticed with this device is that, again, it's a typical OnePlus device. They didn't change a lot of things. If you were expecting the design to be changed a lot, if you look at it from the front, it actually looks very similar to the OnePlus 3T. It still has a 5.5-inch screen, but one thing that I've noticed is that the weight has been reduced. I've handled a lot of smartphones, and for a 5.5-inch screen, it certainly feels light. The first thing that you'll notice when you hold the phone is that it feels light for a 5.5-inch screen, and it weighs 153 grams. Again, moving towards the back, again, this is sort of a hit or a miss. Again, I have to say, it looks like the iPhone 7 Plus. Even the camera placement is very similar to that. So there is no fact denying that. But again, if you can get over that, it is actually very comfortable to hold because they have made these borders curved. So it feels actually very nice to hold in the hand. And in fact, one of the best OnePlus device if you hold it in a hand. And the edges are also rounded, so it does not poke if you hold it tightly. So in terms of in-hand feel, OnePlus has done a great job. But again, yes, in terms of design, specifically from the back, it resembles the iPhone 7 Plus. Now, moving to the screen quality, it's still an AMOLED screen that they are using, and it's a 1080p screen. So nothing much different, I would say. But one thing that I've noticed is that I've used this phone a lot. Even in direct sunlight, the screen is easily visible. And again, the screen quality is actually very good. So no issues regarding the screen quality. I also like the fact that still we have that alert slider, and you can just move that to move between do not disturb and other vibration modes. So I really like the fact that it has that alert slider. And now moving to the fingerprint scanner. Again, the OnePlus 3 and the OnePlus 3T had a very good fingerprint scanner, but this one is even better. Again, according to industry standards, this is one of the fastest fingerprint scanners out there, and I have to agree. As you can see, you just tap in. I'm not even going to look at the phone. You just tap in and it'll unlock. The screen, the fingerprint scanner is very, very responsive. And this is one of those rare fingerprint scanners that you just don't have to worry. It works perfectly. And again, it's a typical dual SIM device, but again, it does not have SD card storage. So the storage is what you get. And many people were asking me regarding which one to go for, 6GB RAM variant or the 8GB RAM variant. I would say it comes down to the storage. The 6GB variant comes with 64GB of internal storage. Out of that, you get about 52 gigabytes. So again, decide based on the storage. If you need more storage, then you would need to go with the 8GB RAM model that comes with the 128 gigabytes of storage. Out of that 128, you roughly get about 112 gigabytes. So no SD card, but again, we have ample storage in my opinion. And moving to cellular call quality, I tested this OnePlus 5 here in Hyderabad with the Reliance Jio and Airtel 4G, and I traveled also quite a bit, and I have to say, in terms of cellular call quality and reception, I did not have any issues with this device. I even took a lot of voice calls via the speakerphone. I'll talk about that later, but in terms of cellular call quality, no issues. Some of you are also asking me, does it have a physical LED notification light? Yes, it does have a physical LED notification light, and it's a multicolored one. Now, moving to the speakers, here again, I like the fact that though it just has a single speaker here at the bottom, I have to say the speaker is one of the loudest single speakers that I have noticed. But again, I miss the fact that it does not have the stereo setup. Also, in terms of the speaker is here at the bottom. So again, you can block it if you're playing games. I'll talk about that later. But again, in terms of loudness, the speaker was actually very loud, and I did take a lot of calls even via the speakerphone, and it was actually very good. So no problems regarding the speaker. In fact, the speaker is louder than the OnePlus 3 and the OnePlus 3T. Now moving to the headphone jack. Fortunately, this phone retains the 3.5mm headphone jack, and I have to say the headphone jack is actually a good one on this one. Unlike with the OnePlus 3, I was not very happy with the headphone jack, but on this one, the audio quality that you get via the headphone jack is actually really good. I even tried it with some high-end headphones, heavy headphones, and it was able to drive. The sound signature is actually very good. So if you listen to a lot of music via the headphone jack, then you'll be happy about this one. Now, again, in terms of performance, the performance was actually very good. It is having the flagship processor, that is the Snapdragon 835, which is the best that Qualcomm offers as of now. And in terms of performance, I had no issues with this device, and it is ample RAM, 6 and 8 gigabytes of RAM. The one that I am personally tested and used it is the 6 gigabyte RAM variant, and even in this one, I never had any issues of RAM management. And in fact, this phone is one of those rare phones where you don't have to worry about RAM management. It handles everything you throw at it, and it had no problems when I was using this device. No lags whatsoever. It runs Oxygen OS, and I like the fact that Oxygen OS is actually very close to stock Android, so it does not try to be on your face like some other UIs, and it adds some useful functions, and I did not notice any lag while I was using this phone. Now moving to the camera, which is a highlighting point about this OnePlus 5, and OnePlus 5 was also talking about that. It has that dual camera setup. The main camera is a 16 megapixel shooter, and the telephoto lens is actually a 20 megapixel shooter. The telephoto lens is not exactly 2x zoom, it is 1.6, but using software algorithm, they are going with 2x zoom. And as you can see here, I took a lot of sample shots with this device, and I have to say the camera quality is actually really good. OnePlus has done a really good job in terms of camera performance. Generally, I was not happy with the OnePlus 3 and the OnePlus 3T with the camera performance if we were comparing it with some other devices, but this one, the camera performance has been improved quite a bit, and that 2x zoom really helps. Also, it has that portrait mode just like the iPhone 7 Plus, and that also actually works very well. I took a lot of sample shots and they came out really good. So in terms of camera performance, this is a huge improvement, I would say, compared to the OnePlus 3T, but again, it does not have any optical image stabilization. It employs electronic image stabilization. So if you shoot video up to 1080p, it will be fine, and in fact 1080p video turns out to be actually really good. Even if you walk, it is stable, even with the front facing camera. In fact, I was impressed with the front facing camera's video stabilization using EIS. In fact, I posted a dedicated video about that. So in terms of video stabilization, if you shoot video up to 1080p, it's fine, but if you go to 4K, then the EIS actually does not work, and as it does not have any optical image stabilization, the video footage will be shaky if you shoot 4K video. So overall, in terms of camera, I would say the camera performance has been improved hugely, and it does a very good job. The good thing is that even in artificial lighting conditions, it does a good job, because the main rear-facing camera, that's a 16 megapixel shooter, has a f1.7 lens, so it can gather in a lot of light. But again, if you strictly start comparing with the Galaxy S8 or the Pixel in very low lighting conditions, yes, they do slightly better. But again, this OnePlus 5 camera is actually pretty good for the price what you are paying. So in terms of camera performance, actually I was surprised and I was sort of impressed, but I don't like the fact that they omitted the optical image stabilization. So if you shoot 4K video, it will be pretty shaky. Also, as I mentioned, I did not face any lag while I was using this phone. And another thing that I noticed with this OnePlus 5 was that even when I was using it mostly only on mobile data, heavily using the phone, jumping between the apps and doing all regular stuff, it did not heat up, unlike the OnePlus 3T, which used to get actually pretty warm. If you have the OnePlus 3T, you'll notice that if you heavily use the phone, it gets actually pretty warm. That was not the case with this OnePlus 5. Also, I did some gaming, and the thing is that it ran most of the games fine, and I tried even heavy games like Modern Combat 5, and as you can see, it ran fine without any issues. But when I ran Asphalt 8 at the highest setting, for some reason I did notice a little bit of drop frames here and there, as you can see, which was slightly disappointing, and it might be due to the optimization issues, because lately I have noticed that Asphalt 8 is sort of lagging on many phones. Even when I did the gaming review of the with the Galaxy S8, Asphalt 8 was lagging. So I did notice some frame drops with Asphalt 8, but other heavy games ran fine. But one thing I really liked is that with gaming, generally handsets tend to get pretty hot. That was not the case with this OnePlus 5. Even after extended gameplay of Asphalt 8, it touched a maximum temperature of 41 degrees Celsius. So the good thing is that the handset does not heat up. Now moving to the battery, it has a 3300 milliamp hour battery, which is actually 100 milliampere less than the OnePlus 3T. And in terms of battery life, I would say the battery life is okay if you're sort of a normal user, but if you're sort of a very heavy user, you might have to top it up in the evenings. For example, when I was regularly using this phone, at the end of the day, I used to generally have anywhere between 15 to 25% battery life based on my usage. And in terms of screen on time, I could get a screen on time anywhere between 4 hours to about 5.5 hours. I even managed to get a screen on time over 6 hours once, but I was watching a lot of YouTube videos that day. But with regular usage, my screen on time was between 4 to 5 hours. So it will last for a typical working day without any issues, but you have to charge this device every day. Don't expect it to last more than a day. So battery life is okay, but not spectacular, I have to say. And in terms, if we compare it with the OnePlus 3T, I would say the battery life is slightly better that I was getting with the OnePlus 3T. And again, this one also has that dash charging support, and I did time it. I shut off the phone, I let it, die to 0%, shut it off, and I charged it, and it charged completely to 100% in 64 minutes. But that's not how you charge. When I was just, the phone was around, to 20%, I put it on charge, and it charged 45% in about 25 minutes. So that dash charging is still there, and it works very well. So even if you're sort of a heavy user, maybe in the evening at about 6 o'clock, if you just plug it in for about 20-25 minutes, you are good to go with this device. So these were the good things that I liked about the OnePlus 5. Overall, a very good phone, but here are the things that I noticed, and these are the cons with the OnePlus 5. I really don't like the fact that this OnePlus 5 does not have optical image stabilization, and that really shows if you are shooting that 4K videos, and also in very low lighting conditions, as this one does not have optical image stabilization, it suffers. For example, I was taking some shots with the S8 and this one, and the S8 shots in very low lighting conditions came out to be slightly better, and I think so that was due to the optical image stabilization. So I feel OnePlus did some cost cutting, and they didn't enable optical image stabilization, because the Xiaomi Mi 6, which might be a competitor to this one, that also has a dual camera setup, but they have employed optical image stabilization. Now another thing I've noticed, and this might not be a deal breaker, and this is regarding the auto brightness sensor. The auto brightness sensor works great outdoors if you're in direct sunlight and stuff. The screen is easily visible, but in artificial lighting conditions like this and indoor conditions, sometimes the auto brightness sensor is wonky, and I have to manually adjust the brightness. So that is one thing that I have noticed. Also, another thing that I've noticed is this weird Wi-Fi bug that I've noticed. As I've mentioned, I've been using it for almost 3 weeks. It did not happen every time, but I noticed this 3 or 4 times. Maybe it's an issue with my router, I don't know. And it was only happening in my office. It was not happening in my house where I have a different Wi-Fi router. Sometimes, just 3 times, I noticed that. Though the phone was connected to the internet, the internet was working, it was claiming an exclamation mark. That means it was saying no internet was there. But in fact, the internet was there. But I just switched off Wi-Fi, and I just switched it on, and it started working. So I noticed this 3 times. Maybe it's some issue with my router, because that was not happening when I was using this phone in my house that has a different router. But I noticed that bug. Maybe OnePlus can fix it with an update. I don't like the fact that OnePlus is now doing this silly thing. This OnePlus 5 comes in actually two colors. This is the dark gray color that we have, brown to dark gray, and another one is that black color. But if you want to buy the black color, that is only available in the higher end model that is having that 8 GB of RAM. So if you really want that black color, you have to pay that extra fee, because that black color is only available in that. So I don't like the fact they should have provided both the colors in both the variants. And lastly, coming to the price, I don't like the fact that the OnePlus devices every generation are now increasing the price. This is the base variant that I've tested. This comes with 6 GB of RAM and 64 GB storage, and this is now selling for 33,000. And if you want that 8 GB variant, you have to shell out 38,000. So certainly the price of OnePlus is increasing every generation, and I don't like that trend. So overall, I would say, considering the price point of this device, still for the price, I would say as of now in India, this is one of the best performing smartphone that you can. The camera is good. Yes, it does not have OIS, so 4K if you shoot videos, then you might land into problems. But apart from that, overall, considering the price point of this device and how well this device actually works, it's a very good phone. But certainly now OnePlus has also started to charge that sort of premium, and I don't like that fact. And overall, if you're coming from the OnePlus 3T, the main two differences that you would notice is that this OnePlus 5 does not heat up as much as the OnePlus 3T did. The OnePlus 3T, even in my review, I said that with heavy usage, it used to get warm pretty quickly. That's not the case with the OnePlus 5. And the second thing is definitely this OnePlus 5 has a better camera compared to the OnePlus 3T. Again, I have already posted other videos on this OnePlus 5. For example, the FAQ video where I answer most of the common questions that I was getting from you guys. So again, I'll leave the link for that video in the YouTube show notes. Check out that video. Will give you more info, and also I've posted other videos on the OnePlus 5. So again, check out the description area for those videos. I hope you found this video review helpful. So if you found this helpful, and if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Again, thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video.